As a seasoned movie buff who's seen more twists and turns in a country road, I must say that Reptile left me with a sense of intrigue and bewilderment, and that's hard to shake off. The film, much like the title creature, sheds its skin, revealing characters that are far from what they initially seem, and what conservation was a move in pushback favor, which made Maze up about the species for the season 2023 thriller titled Reptile by Grant Singer sees Detective Nichols, played by Benicio del Toro, chase down the murderer of Summer the way he uncovers deep-seated corruption within the Scarborough Police Department. As he investigates, suspects such as Summer's lover Will Grady, her ex-husband Sam, Carl Glusman, and the discontented neighbor Eli Phillips, Michael Pitt, come under scrutiny. Ultimately, Nichols unmasks the killer among the Reptile cast and learns their reason for Summer's death. However, his final him in a dangerous game against powerful forces, playing a complex game of hide and seek. When Officer Nichols provides proof against his department's corrupt members, including the killer, to the police chief, they secretly visit Captain Allen, who's been hiding murderer's identity. Unaware of the deception reaching his superiors, Nichols is compelled to engage in a gunfight with his former associates before he can reveal the entire conspiracy. The movie ends in misleading clues and unexpected terms, embodying the essence of an engaging procedural, while still leaving some mysteries unsolved as Nichols discovers who the true Reptile's enemy is. Solved. And towards the end of Reptile, there's a puzzling flashback that discloses Will Grady unintentionally killed Summer, while Detective Nichols is pursuing another lead regarding who Rudy Riccozzi repeatedly called on the day Summer was slain. It isn't explicitly stated, but it's strongly suggested that Rudy contacted Will. In yet another flashback, Will is seen standing over Summer's barely conscious body. However, Will's plan to falsely accuse Summer's ex-husband of the crime unraveled when Detective Nichols skillfully tracked the burner phone to Will. Regrettably, the plot lacks originality, since the antagonist is usually the boyfriend in similar thrillers such as Reptile. Even though Justin Timberlake's performance deviates from his typical roles. However, engaging it may be to watch and act differently, the film still feels predictable due to this formulaic aspect. Fortunately, Will isn't provided with a lengthy villainous speech, but including more scenes that hint at his malevolence instead of focusing excessively on Eli and other potential suspects, as red herrings would have made the climactic reveal feel more satisfying. Initially, Detective Nichols found it questionable that Summer made house sales for a real estate agency that seldom received commission for those transactions. However, unbeknownst to him, these sales to people of Columbus were actually part of a cunning drug money laundering operation orchestrated by Wally and most of the officers in his department. Moreover, Summer had been secretly preparing to inform the FBI about Whitefish being a front company. Unfortunately, Will found out about her intentions and ended her life before she could expose the extent of corruption within their ranks. The connection between the police department and the Shell real estate company involves a complex web of corruption, but Detective Nichols begins to unravel it when he notices that evidence has been mysteriously vanishing from the department's storage room. In this scheme, Wally plants illicit substances in specific residences, which are then seized by the police and sold to Whitefish for a tiny fraction of their actual worth, resulting in substantial profits. Summer, who initially knew nothing about these deals, eventually succumbs to the weight of her guilt. Crime thrillers such as Reptile should tighten up their plot lines as they advance. However, the storyline becomes increasingly complex at this stage. Many unresolved threads are left hanging, including the question of why Captain Allen chose to store the Chrysler Imperial, a car present at Summer's murder scene, in his garage. In Reptile, the answer to why is less crucial than the how, and delving into character motivations tends to detract
from appreciating the suspense and atmosphere that the story generates. And
in the crime drama Reptile, Eli Phillips, a character reminiscent of Nostradamus, is initially suspected of murdering Summer. His motivation stems from an incident involving Will Grady, who swindled Eli's family out of their property, leading to Eli's father taking his own life. Eli menaces Will, and in retaliation, Will confronts Eli at his apartment, warning him to stay away from his affairs. Accompanying him is an unidentified figure whom Eli appears familiar with, but they remain a mystery to the viewers. It's suggested that this enigmatic character could be the chief of police, whose involvement in the entire sordid scene becomes clearer as Detective Nichols attempts to expose the corrupt cops later on. Following the altercation involving Eli, Will, and an unidentified third party in the novel Reptile, Eli's presence is no longer detected. Upon Detective Nichols' subsequent visit to interrogate Eli, he encounters a spotless home with a bottle of bleach on the counter. Although the audience does not witness Eli's demise directly, it appears that he met a violent end. It's suggested that he was likely killed, dismembered, and his remains were discarded elsewhere, leaving no traceable evidence to incriminate either Will or his associate in this crime. And this intriguing storyline by the author, Eli, initially perceived as a shady character, turns out to be more than meets the eye. The writer deliberately cast doubt on all characters at the start, including Eli and Detective Nichols. While Eli appears to be one of the most suspect individuals, he ultimately proves instrumental in solving the case. He is a deal in research, frankly. Denisa work, Imaginating Syria, in Water, Neighbors Writer, and Mystery alongside them. We find the dramatic ending of the Reptile sequence is highlighted by an unsuspecting instance where a frisbee collides with a big window, revealing Nichols and Wally locked in a highly intense altercation. Upon glancing over, Nichols notices curious children peering at the distressing scene through the glass, witnessing Wally lying on the floor, injured and bleeding profusely, while Nichols is holding his gun. Filmmaker Singer has shared insights about the frisbee scene in Reptile from his perspective as a novice filmmaker. I'm essentially acting like a child at play here, as this is my debut film experience. I'm simply having fun, engaging in activities that feel natural to me, which is what I do best. But in the story, the frisbee serves as an unexpected, ironic intervention by some higher power, interrupting the intense situation and shifting Nichols, Wally, and viewers' attention. This interruption presents a stark contrast between their grim actions and the simple, everyday joy of children playing outside, creating a dreamlike atmosphere that encourages contemplation and self-examination. The decay of Waller's world, which has already tainted his relationships with friends and family, cannot be separated from the pure innocence of the children, acting as a plot device to emphasize the notion that every action has repercussions. Benicio del Toro delivers a remarkably subtle and powerful portrayal in the film Reptile, employing physical gestures and prolonged gazes to convey deep emotional turmoil and trauma. His past allegations of corruption at his former department add an intriguing layer, leading Captain Allen to consider him as a suitable choice for his team, a belief shared by Allen. Despite Detective Nichols desiring a new beginning and tranquility that seems unattainable, there is a sense that he feels compelled to crack the case of Summer's murder for motives beyond just his duty as an investigator. At one point, there's even a hint that he may be seeking redemption, though this idea makes him defensive, suggesting it's a sensitive topic for him. So go to the monster. In the movie titled Reptile, with every new character that appears, their true nature gradually transforms, much like a reptile shedding its skin. Initially, each character seems one way, but soon they reveal their hidden selves. Grady behaves nervously, but he has the ability to harm his partner Wally Wally seems friendly as if an older relative in poker games. However, he's discovered to be a leader of a drug operation and attempts to eliminate those exposing him. Detective Nichols initially appears corrupt, but he discards his previous reputation and transforms into a selfless hero, working towards justice. Film artist Mike Kulakis skillfully designs the film Reptile, cleverly employing shiny reflective surfaces, notably mirrors. The characters disclose crucial plot details, expound information, and probe one another within these polished borders, symbolizing that things aren't always as they appear, even when they seem clear before the character's eyes. This intriguing method adds a unique visual style to Singer's thriller, enhancing its overall appeal and artistic signature. And despite gaining its own loyal fan base, the 2023 thriller movie Reptile was not universally acclaimed, and some found issues with its ending. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film, directed Grant Singer in his debut, has a tomato meter score of 44%, suggesting that it didn't win over most critics. Conversely, the audience score is more favorable at 70%, indicating that viewers were generally less bothered by Reptile's flaws compared to professional reviewers. Even the negative reviews didn't completely write off the Reptile movies, but the narrative and its ending were a recurring reason for critique. The performances of Benicio del Toro and Alicia Silverstone were regularly praised even by the harshest of critics. The ending of Reptile, however, frequently came up, with the consensus being that it was an unsatisfactory or conclusion to a movie that created far more questions than it can answer. The movie Reptile is one of many thrillers that ends up having too many unexpected turns, making it difficult for the storylines to be effectively resolved by the end. Some significant events, such as Eli's death, were not shown on screen, which was a daring, creative decision. However, it appears that this choice didn't pay off, since many viewers and critics had hoped to witness these moments during the movie's climax, either in a flashback or otherwise. As a result, most people felt disappointed when the credits started rolling.